Thank you to everybody that is joining us. Welcome to the 14th episode of the Neoteran Herald Weekly. We are just waiting for everybody to join us. I'm getting a little bit of an indication that our stream may not be very stable. So if you are not getting me clearly, let me know. Let me know right from the offset so that I can know that whether I need to adjust a few settings. You can see we're just about 1 hour away from the start of the new week number 33 of the Neoteran calendar, year 006 era reign. So that feedback would be appreciated. I know I can see there may be just a couple of us who joined us. So we'll just give it what will not take longer, and then you'll delve right into looking at what is opening this week. And I can assure you there's a lot that to be excited about. So thank you. Please let's continue making that. Let's continue make use of the live stream chat. Let's know if you're getting this stream correctly. If it is if you can hear us clearly, if there are any glitches or any sort of minor or major errors, let us know. If your voice is clear and loud enough for you to hear me clearly, let me know that as well. Hello and welcome back again. Now we are set to take off with our stream. Um, Still monitoring the live chat, expecting feedback from you. So join us. If you're joining us right now, let us know how you're receiving us. This again is episode 14 of the Neoteran Herald Weekly, your weekly guide and update on what is happening astrologically over the course of the next 7 days. We come every at around sunset time at our standard place of reckoning time, and we look at the 7 days that are coming, beginning with Sunday all the way to Saturday. We're going to look at the major events. We're also going to teach you how they are essential for your creative purposes. Remember, astrology is all about windows that open in time. These windows don't have a universal definition. I know that is the sort of vibe you get from most astrological prognosticators who tell you astrologically this is a good time or it is a bad time. And that's universal. That's given like it's universal for everyone and everybody to appropriate or make use of. That our approach is very different. We say these indicators can be neutral, they can be negative, and they can have positive energy. It all depends with your specific profile, your specific craving with the cosmic energy, and that is why that is the foundation at the beginning, where you should begin your astrological understanding. So, my name, as always, is Astrologer Jorogewa Warugongo, and I am your personal astrologer. Again, we are looking at week number 33. And this is the 5th episode that we have done without failure. You can look at the other episodes that have gone previously, although, of course, the information that is going to give the information you can only glean from this previous broadcast is what has happened in the immediate past. So today we'll take, just as usual, little time looking at first of all the graph, rather the tables and the tabulations of the data that shows us the prognostication about the weeks that are coming, and this is how the planets will be in their order. These are the planetary dimensions. This is the basis upon which everything we are going to extrapolate and speak about is drawn from. These are the planetary dimensions taken from two perspectives: a celestial perspective, and that means from heavenly alignment, so relative to heavenly positions of anchoring. But I also do have the data to show here. My pointer has not been working very well, so I'll use the native pointer that I get on the computer here to point out the various sections of what we need to know. So this is how the planets will be. There's just some slight naming here. You'll have to forgive me for this because this the point at which we are drawing our prognostications is not 11, but a week later, just about changing the dates, and we noticed that a little bit too late, and we're going to change. So it's not the 11th. Rather, this is sunrise on the Wednesday of 18th of the 8th common month of the 6th era in the Neoteran calendar. Today I have a way of monitoring the live chat, and I don't see any, but I'm expecting that will come. So this is what I'm talking about. These are the dimensions. Every one of these is the basic, because we carry out this very scientific. Astrology is a scientific guide, and it would seem to me like maybe that music is a little bit too loud. I cannot monitor my voice because it will be counterproductive if I'm monitoring how I'm speaking, but I can monitor the stream. I can monitor the background, and I can monitor if there's the capacity to do that for you, if you have to speak directly to me through the stream, I'll be able to hear you. But that is not how the stream is set to be like. So here we are. Let me go back again to the correct video, and here we are. So I'm talking about these celestial dimensions. They are anchored in the celestial heavens for the point that is on the celestial heaven. And then the one column, which we call the equatorial declination, and the measure from the celestial heavens and the terrestrial heavens. They have the point of anchorage the same. And that is, and if you were to, this would have been the alignment. They will look as if it's a very same table, but it's because we have standardized everything with the dimensions for week number 32. And this is for week number 33. Of course, as it's clear from there. If you look at just how the planets will be in the celestial heavens, it's a very, very same dimensions, but now we are not looking at them in the order of planetary precedence, but we are looking at them from the perspective of where they are in the celestial heavens, and that is what we call the zodiacal planetary order. The zodiacal planetary order. How the planets are from the ones that is in the beginning of the houses of the zodiac. We right now, you see, we don't have a planet that is in house 1. I think last week we were looking at the moon house 1. But today, the foremost planet here is the anti-solar point. And I just moved to last week, and you can see the moon was the foremost planet in the order of how they are raised according to the order, the precedent to order of the zodiacal divisions of the celestial heaven. Let's go back to week number 33. So that's the order in which they appear. Not much changes, of course, from one week to another. So very much, other than the moon and perhaps a planet like Mercury. You're going to see last week, Mercury was behind Aries, also the 9th planet, but you can see here in that order, Mercury has changed here. It is the 10th planet. So other than these, you're unlikely to see other change, but you'll see, of course, these values, these dimensions do change significantly. The ones that change most is perhaps the terrestrial ones, because terrestrial cycles, a terrestrial cycle is 24 hours long. Not exactly for planets, for stars, it's a lot quicker. For the sun, it's a little bit more standard. It's 24 hours is the standard we have. The moon takes the longest to cover a terrestrial diurnal day. But these are changes that what the cycles of every one of these, the measures here are completed. So we do take, that is why we take a sunrise. So presented a view of the particular day and also the particular week. So we take Wednesday, because Wednesday happens to be right at the beginning of the week and right at the, not at the beginning, but rather at the midpoint of the week. Thank you so much. I appreciate every marker, every significant, it came in at the very beginning, and that was actually came from me as I was showing you as I was sharing with you or encouraging you to start with me. I was getting a message in the WhatsApp, so I'm having to monitor there so that I can check who is joining us and how that is progressing on. Okay, so that's the zodiacal order for week number 33, and you've looked also at week number 32. Let's progress to the next junction, and that is looking at the planetary order. And these are the planetary alignments as they appear at this point in time, and these are the major planets. Oh, sorry, this is for week number 32. We are, of course, talking about week number 33. So this is week 33 in perspective, and as you can see, the moon has moved significantly from somewhere in the point of house 1, and of course, it is in beginning of house 4, at the middle point of week number 33. Some other indicator is that at this point, of course, the moon will have come to a very important juncture. We are going to cover that when we look at the final alignment, that we take a look at the alignment of the moon in particular. The other thing that is notable, actually from last week, if you move to last week, as you can see, Mars is right here. Mercury is within Herpes Elder. But when you move here, you can see Mars, Mercury, just as well as the Sun, which was just at the entry point of house number 8. That change, that transit has happened. We talked about this last week because it's something while we are clearly seeing it this week, but there's a change that happened all the way from last week. Now, something that had not been shown properly as we were streaming last week is that at the midpoint of week number 32, Mercury, remember, if you remember, we were showing it on sunrise of last week, that we were showing Mercury to be approaching the cusp of house 8 and house 9. But actually, Mercury last week had already crossed over into house number 9. And the hostage of the host in house number 9, which is Behemoth. Actually, Behemoth dominates the exit of house 8 in this age, or rather in this, not just the age, but this dispensation for something of hundreds of years. This is something that has been continuing on and will continue through our age. And this is where Mercury was last week, and at this point in time, it's bang in the middle of house number 9. So that's another thing that you can visually see. Something important, if you like observing the celestial heavens, what you can see in the evening, especially now we have got the moon. The moon is significantly away from these two. Is that you'll see two bright stars. One right in the middle of the sky at just after sunset, and that is Jupiter is well ahead. So it has like almost 6 hours of transiting across the celestial heaven. So you see it from early evening to the very late. And another one that you see for at least about 3 hours is Venus. So Venus and Jupiter are in the sky. Venus is still creating distance between itself and the sun in its synodic cycle. It's a prograde evening star. It's a prograde ultra-solar planet in this phase, and its separation right now, if you looked at those planetary the dimensions, if you went back to the dimensions in week number 32, planetary dimensions, and we looked at how far Venus is at this point in time. This is planet Venus here. And look at what we call solar elongation. This is the most important indicator about the creative phase and the creative energy and the creative authority and alignment that we have with the planet Mercury across time. And of course, the number that we are talking about is this one. That is 28 degrees. 28 degrees of separation. An hour of separation in the diurnal cycle is about 15 degrees. And that means where you find planet Venus is exactly almost 2 hours. So you're getting 2 hours of Venus at this point in time. This will increase to almost 4 hours because Venus gets up to a separation of about 47 degrees. Well, it will just be over 3 hours rather, because 3 hours are 45 degrees with that measure. So as you go on between itself and the sun, so every week that separation is increasing by just over a degree. They're close to 2 degrees actually, but not exactly, about 1.5 degrees every week. So that is something that is going to continue over this week. I'm still monitoring, checking whether I can see the live any chart. Let me get to monitoring this stream from my head because I'm trying to see the live chat, the live stream perspective from a perspective of where you are, or rather, as a viewer, but to get an idea of how many people are in, because I'm not seeing any indication about who has joined or not, but I can see that three, four people have joined us. If you're there, please, if you can hear my voice, I like to know that it's somebody who listens to me. It is not the same vibe as when you're speaking to a machine, when I can hear that there's a human ear, a human mind, and a human tongue that is able to give me feedback and an indication that you are tuned in. That gives me makes it a lot easier for me to speak, knowing that you are there. At this junction in time, let's look at how far away we are from the beginning of the new week. And this tells us that we're about 39 minutes. And we're going to look at the minor planets now. Let's look at the minor planets, and then we will move on to we will move on to a stream. I would appreciate if you're communicating with us. It would be great if I could get that communication via via the live stream chat. That is easy for me to monitor. There's somebody who's communicating. There's somebody who is communicating through WhatsApp, and I need to make them. I think the question is, when does it start? I've sent them the link. It is live. It is live online right now. I need to communicate that to them because they're asking me when does it start. I sent them the link. It means it is live. If I'm not able to send you a link to the video unless we are live. That is why I have to say, wait up until the stream starts. So, that is it, May. Let's go and check the minor planets. The minor planets in our system. And here we go. Let me just move to start a particular slide. And I hope that you can see it now. These are the planetary alignments of the minor planets. And to give you proper context of where we are here, let's move to last week, week number 32, because there's some significant change that is happening this week. If you see, I always tell you that when it comes to minor planets, the very little change that you can track from one week to another. The ones that can be significant, that make some significant transit or shift in alignment, is the anti-solar point, because it moves through quarter wave of a house over 1 week, just like the sun, replicates the motions of the sun, but in the opposite sense. It's always in opposition to the sun. That's why it's the anti-solar point. And then you can notice a change with a planet like Vesta. I believe this is Vesta here. And you can also notice Ceres here. So let's see whether those are the three planets that as we shift to week 33, it's going to merge smoothly here. Week 32, week 33. So you can see those are the three planets that make a little bit of slight changes, but none of them significant, because there's none of them that is a gateway, either an ordinary gateway or creative gateway transits. The creative gateway transits are 4 in the celestial heavens: here, 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 and of course here. This is the end gateway, the very same way as the start here, because we're talking about a cycle. Of course, the celestial heavens are not two-dimensional and flat as you see them here, but there is a sphere of them. And yes, so that is the perspective. Of course, the major highlight is at this point in time, when you look at planet Pluto, as it was last week, it was in Cabal, and when you move to 1 week, there seems to be no change. But because it has changed its alignment with the Sun, because the Sun has shifted significantly, then planet Pluto is now considered to be in standstill. And a standstill for a tropical planet, masculine outer planet like Pluto, that's an indication that it's about to shift to its retrograde. So it begins with a transit. This transit will last about 10 days, almost to 2 weeks. And it's very, very hard to make a determination of where exactly or when exactly the moment that Pluto moves into standstill. But we know that by the time the Sun rises to welcome the daytime half of the day called Wednesday, for this week, Pluto will be at standstill. That's something I can assure you and guarantee you. And so we'll not give the exact date when it comes to looking at the highlights. Remember, that is what we're going to look at next, the highlights for the week. And then we're going to speak creatively to the new week. So these are the minor planets. That's the main change. That is the major shift in the celestial heavens to do with the minor planet, the standstill of planet Pluto, beginning this week. Thank you so much. I'm still trying to monitor whether we have any views right now, and I am not getting any persons. You're not getting any feedback, but I believe that what I can see that at least some people have joined us at some point in time. Thank you so much for your patronage all through. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a meeting for just a couple of minutes. If we look at the countdown timer, we are both coming to 30 minutes to the point in time when we are going to observe we're going to speak creatively to welcome the new week. So you can take a break, go grab a cap, and then we're coming to the most important part of this stream, and that is we're going to look at what is significant across the next 7 days. Thank you. Thank you and welcome back. I believe you had a minute to take a breath and that you are ready to participate with us as we now examine the highlights for the new week that is coming. And we're going to begin by looking at the calendar. So here is the calendar month for that includes week number 33 of the Neoteran calendar. Of course, week 33 takes place four squaring within the 8 common month. The 8 common month, a C of that comes to the indicator of the month's counter and indicator means that the common month. That means it's not a late month, it's not an intercalary month, it's not an additional month. Of course, all 8 months, month 8 in our calendar are common months. We don't have, there's no point in time where they are, we can have an intercalary month. We will have month 3, month 3, month 6, potentially month 9, and month 12. One of the research, one of the most mysteries we need to solve in our calendar is whether we can have an intercalary month 9, month 6 rather. We can have an additional month 6. We have our research has enabled us this far to cover only 300 years in the expanse of time, 150 years before the start in the ante-regnum era. ER means era regnum, and that is before the kingdom, the epochal start of our year 6, date 1 of month 1 of year 1 in the era regnum. So we do have a look at 130 years, 130 years in the era regnum dispensation, and 170 years in the ante-regnum dispensation. The capacity to check alignments of the planet. Only cover that far for our calendar. And in all that checking, we have not found a single year in which we needed to create an intercalary month 6. Theoretically, it should be possible. So our current actually, the greatest support, if we could manage to, invest some money, with about $50. It's not a lot of money, but if you can listen to us and hear this and are able to support us to putting $50 into better and more detailed ephemerides. Ephemerides are the measures of the planetary alignment across time. Right now, as I said, we are looking at ephemerides that already cover 300-year span. So if you could enable us to look at maybe 5,000, 10,000 years, then we can start speaking with confidence, because we know that pattern that requires month 6 is associated with Passover. Passover is a very, very essential period in our calendar. And if we can be able to prove definitively that Passover is so special, that when we look at the planetary alignments, the various patterns and aggregations that exist between the sun and the moon would never require to add an extra 9th month, then that would give us a word. Thank you so much. I see our audience picked some few minutes ago. If you're there and you can hear us, please do make a comment. Please do make a comment in the live stream comment. I'll just give an indication, either an emoji, and said emoji, that still would be great for us to get a sense of who is reading to us. So I'm saying this is the 8th common month. This is week number 33 right here. It is the week that starts in just a few minutes time. Actually, according to the standard measurements, that week has already started now, as we are speaking with you. But we're waiting for the invitation to come, and to us in about 22 minutes from now. So this is the week that we're talking about. There is no major lunisolar alignment that is happening. Of course, nothing happens in the middle of a month. with lunisolar changes. The sun has already gone into what the major happening was happening yesterday, or rather this day that is ending, this 14th. Earlier today is when the lunisolar conjunction happened. So let's look now at what are these highlights that we're talking about. Number week 33. Now this is something that is continuing. We always start with something that is continuing from the previous week, and we're talking about the multi-planetary conjunction happening in house Habizelda. That is the Neoteran 7th celestial house. It is continuing this week. We're looking at that. None of the, just as it was last week, none of the planetary bodies in Habizelda have a perfect conjunction with each other. And it's very, very important because if you're looking at this from the perspective of somebody who follows what you call tropical astrology or traditional astrology, you may hear about this conjunction happening within Aquarius. But we don't talk about that. Aquarius is not a house. It cannot house anything. It's a host. It can host. And when you're a host of a house and you're hosting somebody as a guest, they are not inside you. They live with you in the house. So that is why you don't say in Pisces, in Aquarius. But I can say the host is Aquarius. So the important change that is happening with this multi-planet conjunction is that Vesta joins this conjunction, and then planet Mercury leaves, because Vesta is the one that is entering Habizelda, and Mercury is leaving Habizelda and going into house number 8, celestial house number 8. So, and the host here is Pisces, but you cannot say that they are within Pisces. Of course, the reckoning what is Pisces is different from the other kind of what, except maybe if you're talking about Vesta. If you're talking about Vedic astrology, they'll tell you this is and the sidereal. It will tell you, they will tell you this conjunction is happening in Pisces properly, and but the others will tell you in Aquarius, but it's wrong from our perspective. You don't say the host; these are inside the host. So the house and the host, that differentiation is only unique to Neoteran astrology as far as we can tell. So what are the other planets that are here now? So which planets now are in this host and house conjunction within Habizelda? Planet Mars, planet Saturn, Vesta, which is new, Neptune, and Aries. None of them are in perfect conjunction. I think there is likelihood, I think next week, Vesta and Neptune could enter into perfect conjunction. We're going to talk about that. And there's possibility that that is happening next week, but I'm not certified correctly whether that's going to happen, because Vesta is quite a transient planet, but it's not that quick. And I think by this week it's about almost maybe 7 degrees away. It has to go into a normal 3 degrees for us to consider that what is happening. So that is the change that is happening within this. This multi-planetary conjunction has been going for weeks, but as you can see, every week there's a slight change. There's a slight vibrational frequency kind of adjustment that is happening. Okay. And now let's go to another highlight for the week. And that is something also that is it's not continuing, but it's something that has ended. Towards the end of this week, the Venus-Uranus perfect conjunction that was happening at the cusp of Neoteran celestial houses number 8 and 9, it has come to an end. As we enter this week, that is something that has ended. We are talking about it last week, but it does not continue this week. Now, something else that is starting here is a perfect square. It's coming, and it is starting on Sunday. Sunday, this very day that is coming, we have this Mercury-Pluto perfect square. Again, a perfect square is when planets are approximately or exactly 90 degrees from each other. It is starting this week, rather, and exactly this day that we are talking, the very first day of week number 33. But we are talking about the exact alignment. The square will have to wait up until 17. The 17th, that is Tuesday, that is when that perfect alignment will attain exact alignment, or rather perfect square. That perfect square is perfect already, It's not a square or a host. It's not a de facto, or rather a de jure. No, no, no. I don't know whether we use de jure and de facto. What do we should we use? Perfect. Perfect and de facto. So not de facto. It is a perfect square. But on Tuesday, this is the most important and significant. Again, just as with all markers, I tell you, there is no universal interpretation of the importance or danger inherent in this. And I'm getting all that. YouTube usually gives me a lot of false flags telling me my stream has errors and it's not receiving sufficient data to stream correctly. But sometimes these are usually false flags. That's what I've realized. I usually depend on you. And that is why it would be good because I can see we have a handful of people joining us. That is why it's always good to hear from you. I don't know whether this is the same situation as we had last week, a few weeks ago, but this time round I am looking at the live stream both as a presenter and as if I'm a part of the audience. And let me send myself a message or you people a message. I'm asking, are you there? Trying to see if there's somebody else who's responding because I can see that, and let me see if I'm able to track that as a presenter. I can. If I said emoji, oh sorry, I don't know how to do this. I'm pretty not very good. I'm actually now coming to the capacity to start sending this message. So thank you so much. Let's look at let's go on discussing what has happened across this week. So let's look at our highlights for the week. If we look at our counter, we are still 14 minutes away. We are still 14 minutes away from the time when we will have to speak creatively to welcome the new week. So let's continue looking at the highlights. And another highlight for the week is another perfect square. And this will attain its perfect alignment. Actually, what has happened is that this square started this week number, previous week 32. But its perfect square will attain, this perfect square will attain, this perfect square will attain exact alignment on Monday. The date for Monday in the Neoteran calendar is 16th of the 8th month. Thank you so much. I can see finally, please, somebody who is going, who is speaking to us. This is somebody who is a little bit 1, 2, 3 sister. Of a mystery, some bit of a mystery, this person. I don't know who they are, but thank you so much. If you know who you are, I know you've been a great fan of ours. I've seen a little bit of your channel. I love your channel, but you are completely a mystery to who you are. But I love it that you do tune frequently. That's amazing. I love you, whoever you are. So if you can reveal your identity, I would be glad. But if you want to remain anonymous, that's still good for us. So this is a perfect square that is happening this very week. Again, as you see, there are two perfect squares. We've talked about this, the second one we're talking about, happening this week. And it will end, it will go on up until Friday. So something that is spanning at least 4 or 5 days, we're going to have this square. Again, what is its importance? Its importance matters with your profile. Only your profile can tell me, is this something significant? Is it in a positive way? Is it significant in a negative way? Is it significant in an indifferent way? But it is not a gateway that has universal meaning that is perfect for everybody. That is the importance what you need to know about astrology. So that when you see Google and Google does not understand who you are and your alignments, these astrological prognostications only make sense, the greatest sense, when you look at your profile. Of course, the sun and the moon does not have many caveats. I've said this before. It's only the sun and the moon that don't have, in particular cycles. The moon has so many varieties and ways of displaying its creative signatures. And therefore, the moon, there are some times that we don't put caveats on it, especially when it comes to the synodic cycle. That one is richer for everybody to make use of. But now we are talking about just a couple of, I was talking about earlier today, that lunisolar opposition. That one will not find me telling you, you cannot make use of it, or be careful, or check whether it's negative or is it positive. There's no such a thing, because that has to do with the sun and the moon. They are the primary, they are the standard creative indicator. And therefore, we don't have that. But this is not the same. Mars and Jupiter are very, very specific creative applications. And therefore, it will depend on who you are. Now, something else, starting this week, as we were looking at the planetary graphics, is the planetary standstill of Pluto. And they last at least maybe up to 2 weeks. I've not worked out that exactly, but I know because I've already looked at the data for next week, and I know Pluto will still be at a standstill as we come to the other Wednesday. So this one, standstills are very, very important. They're essential. Actually, whenever we see significant astrological intervention happening in biblical scriptures, they're usually attached to planetary standstill. That tells us something. That tells us that when planetary bodies come to perfection of standstill, something special is released. But exactly how special depends on what you know, what language you can, how much of an authority you have. So again, this is something that will depend on your planetary, your natal alignment. Now we come to the final thing that we're looking at. And before we look at the lunar what, let's check and see where the countdown to the sacred fire for the start of a new week shows us that we are. This way we are. 9 minutes to the start, and we'll still have another short break. So let's go back to looking at lunar transits and alignments there. So these are the 5. You usually select about 5. Like, it's not actually deliberate. Actually, I'm wondering, over the past few weeks of looking at what and the highlights you're getting for the moon and the moon. And that's why I tell you how the moon is special. The moon is so special that you see we dedicate a whole set of alignments, and they are not like everything the moon is doing. Actually, if we're talking about things like squares and trines, and we would be filling several pages of the moon alone in a week. So we look at the very, very special, the most significant one. Okay? The moon does so many things within just even a day that you ignore the moon at your own peril. And that is why feminine creative energy is the most programmable, the most powerful energetic one. And I don't understand why people ignore the moon. You see in certain systems, like certain calendars, which don't follow the moon, it is a tragedy of sorts. So Sunday, this very day that is beginning, we are going to have a planetary opposition. Like the only aspects of the moon that we look at in its tropical cycle are opposition and conjunction. We don't look at trines, we don't look at squares, we don't look at other alignments that are there that can be possible to prognosticate. I'm not saying that they are not there, but they are there. We don't look at gateway transits. We don't. You don't see us talking about a gateway except creative gateway transit, but you don't look at the ordinary transits of the moon. We look at selected creative gateway transit. There are only 4 of them out of 24. So the other 20, the moon completes all 24 of them, because it completes all 24 of them in number of how many days? Actually 27 days. in 27 days. No, no, in less than 28 days, but in about 28 days. It will complete all of them, all 24 of them. So we look at only the 4 that are creative gateway transits, and one of them is happening this week. So as you can see, all these are happening. Most of them are happening. Actually, everything is happening on this tropical cycle this week. There's nothing happening on the draconic or the synodic. There is a significant junction this week because, of course, the synodic etiquette happened just earlier today. The meta education on the synodic cycle, because they tend to happen over every about 7 to 8 days, and therefore because the last synodic one, moon passed through the moon passed through its synodic indicator, the opposition, and yet so these are all, and actually they are all oppositions except the one that is going to happen on Saturday, planetary conjunction with Pluto. Yeah. So the one that is significant, this is actually special, because here we are going through what we call a major lunar cycle, and it will not always be like this across the year. Last year is when it was at a complete maximum, but this year is still we are still getting very, very significant lunar cycles that have very great deviation from the standard set by the moon, by the sun. So these are significant, and it's happening on Tuesday. Please, if you want to know more about this is not in the synodic. As you can see, actually all these are not in the synodic. Some of them will have caveats, some will not have caveats. So you can talk to me and I'll be able to tell you more about it. This is actually maybe the most significant thing happening this week. And the Pluto stands still, and the moon stands still. Both of them are stands still. But actually, they are happening quite close to each other. They are happening quite close to each other because, as you can see, the moon on Saturday, Tuesday, it's at a standstill. Then just a few days later, 3-4 days later, it is going to conjunction with Pluto. And those are the highlights. Those are the significant things that are happening this week. As always, how they impact your life is dependent, is anchored on your specific planetary, not planetary, but what we call a natal cycle. And we are only 4 minutes away. We are only 4 minutes away. So I'm giving you just a couple of minutes. I'm giving just a couple of minutes, no more than 2 minutes actually, to focus. Think about what you'd like to achieve this week. And because we have a sort of a creative gateway here, without the caveat, we can be able to speak this day. And even if these alignments don't really favor you, then you'll have something to share. I'm not saying you'll have complete dominance over them, but you'll have something to share about everything that is happening this week, because you have spoken creatively at the very start. And the beginning, they have a capacity to, remember what it's saying, if the beginning, if the first fruit is holy, then the rest of it is holy. So even if there are caveats and roadblocks over the next week, but at the beginning, you're spoken in a righteous way and you have commanded blessings about it, then you cannot be. How about a lockdown? Thank you so much. I hope you've had a breather. Yeah, breather, you've managed to focus on what you're doing this week. As I'm saying, we have a sort of a blank check moment that is coming in just less than 3 minutes now. And what can you do? Speak creatively, speak emphatically, speak with authority, speak with assurance, harness whatever provision is there, exert whatever provision is only meaningful if it is preceded by influence. Okay, many of us want provision faster than create influence, but the natural, the heavenly, the eternal plan is for influence to start and then provision can come. And the very same sort of mind we are playing to, because right now what we are doing is causing influence here to be. And therefore, as the days go over the week, we can have as much license to harness as much provision as we can, like command to. So here we are. And as week number 33 now comes in just other 2 minutes, we speak authoritatively. We speak with as much emphatic authority, assurance, and guarantee that whatever is unfolding over the course of the next 7 days is for our good, is for our benefit, is for our advancement, is for the eternal establishment of what is meant to come of ourselves, of our kindred, of our hearts, of those that we care about, those that we love, and those that we cherish within ourselves. And we speak about the squares and the alignments that are coming. They have diversity of interpretations, and we have various frequencies and capacity to harness and cause influence across this expanse of time, across the 7 days. But at this moment in time, we realize how special, how significant it is as this transit is happening, that we have the strength to harness of these motions and opportunities with complete freedom from being hobbled, from being fatigued, from being intercepted. We know and we order that across the expanse of time, whatever gateways that are opening, let them be for speedy, be for acceleration, for acceptance, for becoming. We speak about the love that is within us and the power and strength of our regal mandate, our priestly mandate, and the territory that we have gained. Look, everyone who is reasoning to me, they have a passion, they are personalized in the lives of both they love and care about. They have enterprises, they have business ventures, they have partnerships, they have corporate agreements and transactions and contracts. And every one of these agreements and sort of liaisons, I'm declaring them superior parties. I'm declaring them capable of delivering and exceeding every sort and form of expectation that is laid and expected of them. These words are true. They cannot be contradicted. They have effects and strength and replicability not only in the now, but across the expanse of the 7 days. And the 7 days as they come, the day of the sun, the day of the moon, the day of Mars, the day of Mercury, the day of Jupiter, the day of Venus, and the day of Saturn. In that order, all of them are open for our influence and our unlimited provision. And now I want us to join together and say, it is good in our sight. So immediately I say, it is so. I want you to say, with as much volume and conviction, it is good in my sight, or it's beautiful in my sight. So, 3, 2, 1. It is so, and it is magnificent, pure, glorious in our sight. Thank you. We have performed our duty for today. The cosmic energy that is released is for our good, and every gateway that is happening across the next 7 days, these days that we know as week number 33 in our calendar, they are for your good. You are blessed. Continue waiting. We are going to release a highlight reel explaining the highlight of the week. That section that covered about 20 or so minutes. And you can be sure that we have respect in the cosmic space, because we know, understand the widows at the moment in the expanse of time. Have an amazing week. Don't fear, don't be doubtful, because you are the most dominant, created and made to create order and significance across this cosmos. Again, as always, I'm your astrologer, Joroge Wahon Warugogo. I'm signing off until next week when we meet together for episode 15. Looking forward to week number 34. Have an amazing, productive, progressive, and ascendant week. Goodbye.